Alright, let me say this up front because people don't hear it. This is not a review of Middle-earth Shadow of War. It's called, right? Mordor 2? War? Yeah. Middle-earth Shadow of War. I've called it Shadow of Mordor like 5 times the last time I've tried to talk to it with people in real life. Shadow of microtransactions, more like. It's not a review, okay? Don't comment at the bottom of the page and say this is a shitty review. And you're right, it is a shitty review because it's not a review. Why do I bother? You're gonna do it anyway. Here I am with another popular game that probably everybody likes that I hate, and I'm gonna explain why, because it's what I do here. I can tell you graphically, the game is very pretty. Runs on 30 FPS, probably 1080p, I imagine, because it looks damn good. It's a very pretty game. I'll give them that. All the complaints I had about graphics when I reviewed Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor, which was my first game review, so please don't go back and watch it. All the complaints about that were clearly due to the last gen version, because it was a shitty port. All right, I'll wholeheartedly admit that was a shitty port of a game clearly designed for next gen. My biggest problem with Shadow of Mordor, and again my primary issue with Shadow of War, is I don't like the combat. I think it sucks. I think it's boring. It is a copy-paste but somehow done worse version of the Batman Arkham combat. Now, I haven't played the Batman Arkham combat since 2015. Maybe I'd hate it now. I don't know, okay? Every game published by Warner Brothers for some reason just has to use this shitty counter system that only worked when you're Batman fighting a crowd of enemies. When you're swinging a sword, it doesn't work. It's the same issue I had with Assassin's Creed Syndicate. You just hit over and over and over again. I'm like, dude, it doesn't take that. It shouldn't take that many sword swings to kill an orc, a random ass orc that goes down once you breathe on him in the movies. This game drags out every single battle, every single encounter with every orc because it wants to pad the runtime. It wants to feel like it has all this content, and, you know, there's shitty little icons everywhere. It's the Ubisoft open world game syndrome. If you played Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor, this is the exact same thing. I'm sorry if I'm yelling. Am I yelling? Microphone's over here. Oh, that's good. Yes, I'm drinking. Really, everything else is peanuts. The only thing that matters is the gameplay. This is a video game, after all, remember? And the combat, all you do is spam. All you do is spam. Spam X, 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 X. I'm on PlayStation 4, okay? So, oh shit. All you do is spam square, square, square. I'm on PlayStation 4, okay? So for you Xbox people, it's probably X, but spam square, 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 square. And when you see the little thingy, which I know you can turn off, but it's part of the core gameplay, okay? So when you don't see the thingy, when you see somebody swing it, it really doesn't make that big of a difference. All that thing does is make you have to look a lot less closely at the game. It just goes from stupidly easy to moderately easy. You can still see when people are attacking you. Spam triangle to immediately stop whatever you're doing and teleport, counter, and then lock them away and then get a couple free hits in before you do the same spam. You don't even have to hold the left stick of the controller. You can just spam square and take out everybody. It takes about 5 months to do it because they have giant-ass health bars, but it doesn't require much else. And then you have your Spectre powers, you know, that you have with Celebrimbor. You got your bow. You have, again, rebooted back to the beginning. You have to unlock all the same skills you learned in the last game. It's the same skill tree, I'm sure, with some minor tweaks. Again, if you know me, one of my problems with my reviews is I don't look at the skill trees all that in-depthly. I miss a lot of things. Things I complain about end up being in skill trees later. Doesn't change the fact that should happen at the beginning of the damn game. But still, I don't care. Yes, I'm drinking. Go to hell. And the level design in this game is so damn lazy. You can sprint past everybody. They set up this whole level to have this stealth section, and there's enemies everywhere, and there's little markers on the minimap. You can just sprint right past them, sprint right through it. I'm like, why would I fight anybody? Why should I fight them? Why should I stop? It's not fun, and I don't have to do it. Orcs will literally say, like, oh, I'm not going in there. Oh, I ain't gonna chase that mate through that. Oh, I ain't got no Shelob in there. I've said this in my Shadow of Mordor review. The game doesn't just take the core mechanics of the Batman combat. It takes everything. Literally, the entire game. This is a reskin of Batman Arkham City, Arkham Knight Asylum, whatever. There's even this part where you're looking for footprints, and it wants you to, like, move the sticks to the left, and I'm like, this is the password thing from Batman. Go f*** yourself. That is so lazy. They're not even trying here. I consider myself a big Lord of the Rings fan. I'm about as big a Lord of the Rings fan as you can get without actually having read any of the books. And the game doesn't take place in the Lord of the Rings Hobbit timeline. It just it's like a separate alternate universe, because you can't arrive at the events of Lord of the Rings after the events of Shadow of Mordor. Without spoiling anything, that it's impossible. And the only story characters and shit is just fan servicey shit. So the first character you encounter, there's this spider, and it like turns into some, it doesn't look anything, alright, I'm skipping ahead of my little analogy here to ruin the surprise for you. The spider is Shelob. Doesn't look like Shelob. It's got like a crab-like structure in its face. It doesn't look like Shelob from the movies. It's not Shelob from the movies, but they call it Shelob. They call her Shelob. And she transforms into like this sexy like woman thing, so it's like a spirit ethereal thing with like long black hair, and she's all sexy and hot and like seducing everybody. I'm like, this is cool. I like this character. I like this idea. Oh, let's expand the world of Middle-earth. You know, show us some other stuff. And then it's just Shelob. I'm like, no, it's not, damn it! This is the same problem I had in the second Hobbit movie. You know, when there was like all this stuff like, oh, there's the necrom. Okay, I know it's like this in the books. I'm, again, cutting myself off because I see what you gotta f***ing say. I know it's like this in the damn books. I don't give a shit. Is that there's this necromancer. They're building up this whole new villain. Like, oh, we have a new villain. I'm so excited. It's the necromancer. I can't wait to find out more about him. And nope, surprise, it's just Sauron. It's like, when you do that, you literally delete a character from your story. Surprise, this is actually a different character is the worst kind of twist you can throw. It's almost like, oh, I bet Rey is descended from somebody in Star Wars. That will surprise no one. It's like, oh, Rey, is she Luke's daughter? Is she Obi-Wan Kenobi's daughter? Is she Jyn Erso's daughter? Is she... Who cares? I don't! And Talion, the ranger, guy that you play as, is a carbon copy of Aragorn, without any of the charisma, any of the style, or any of the grit that Viggo Mortensen brought to the role. He's the most generic, one-dimensional, shitty-ass, stubble-having, exact same hair length as Aragorn. Oh, he's a ranger, he's a sword-wielding, Gondorian dude. He's Aragorn. I know Troy Baker voices him. I don't give a shit, because he's a poorly written and conceived character. He's a generic good guy. Oh, we have to stop the evil. Oh, I have a dark past. My family doesn't like me. Oh, they're dead. He's a boring character. I don't care what happens to him. And then you have Celebrimbor, who is another completely flat, one-dimensional character. He's got one thing. He wants to get back his ring of power, and he thinks he's just the great. He's just an arrogant-ass elf dude, alright? And Celebrimbor and Talion have been together, sharing a body, sharing two souls in one form, essentially, for an entire game at this point. And they have no bond or friendship at all. There's not like his well-written conflicts where they have different ideals. No, Celebrimbor's the asshole, and Talion's the good guy. And Talion's like, oh, we have to save the city. The Gondorian people are dying. And which, I mean, he's correct. That is the right thing to do. And then Celebrimbor's like, what we must do is save the Palantir. The fate of the city matters not. The mortals, they'll die anyway. Or today, tomorrow, what does it matter? And then Gollum's in this game again because whoever's voicing him did a little bit better job than last time, even if it's the same guy. Alright, if you're gonna tell me, hey Wesley, you shut the hell up, it's the same guy who voiced him in Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War. I'm like, kudos to you for wasting the time to find that out. The point is, guy in this game did a little bit better of a job than whoever did in the last game. Even if it's the same guy, he wasn't trying in the first game. It sounded nothing like Andy Serkis. It's not Andy Serkis. That's what matters. It's like, listen to the menu music. Like, this is Middle-earth, not the Middle East! Are you really that cheap you can't even get Howard Shore to compose the score for your game? That's my biggest problem with Shadow of Mordor, outside of the fact that it's a poorly made, boring, shitty game, is that it feels like fan fiction. It feels like people who like Lord of the Rings just jerking off to it in a $100 million budget game. Outside of the cool, seductress, sexy lady version of Shelob, there is not a single thread of originality or creativity in this game. It is shitty cash grab sequel epitome of. You know, you're unlikely to discover this for yourself, so let me lead you in on a little secret. YouTuber earns himself a lot of negative comments, a lot of dislikes, a lot of threats. I found the appropriate response to these threats some time ago. That was a dark night. I was quoting The Dark Knight.